Welcome back to Area 31. Today we're going to be looking at the murder location for David Stringbean Akeman and his wife Estelle. And this took place on a Saturday night, at some point, late Saturday night on November 10th, 1973, a long time ago. I was 13 years old. And this took place at Ridgetop, Tennessee. We are currently in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're looking at the Grand Ole Opry right down here. This is the new Grand Ole Opry, but back in 1973, the Grand Ole Opry was over here, right in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee. And this is all about country music, bluegrass, all that kind of stuff. That was going on long before I was ever born. So the old Grand Ole Opry was the Ryman Auditorium. And we'll just kind of zoom down here. So I have to apologize. I put my Ryman Auditorium little sticker in the wrong place. I started zooming down there and realized it was not where it should have been. So over here is the Ryman Auditorium. So this was originally the Grand Ole Opry back in 1973 and long before that time. So you might be asking, who in the world is David Stringbean Akeman? Well, he was a musician, a banjo player, and he was very, very good at it. And back in 73, he was on a TV show called Hee Haw. And that just happened to be my dad's favorite TV show. So we always watched Hee Haw at my house. And it was okay, but now, today, it wouldn't be very okay with me. It's kind of silly and everything. And you can find reruns of it and all the rest. But that's who David Akeman was. He was born in 1915, so he was an old-time banjo player. And along with another guest on the show, or a regular on the show, was Grandpa Jones, Louis Grandpa Jones. He too was a really good banjo player, and he passed away finally in 1998. And I think he was born in 1913. So anyway, they were all here performing that night at the Ryman Auditorium Saturday night. I do not know what time the show ended. Likely it was 9 o'clock at night or something like that. I don't know. And Stringbean and his wife Estelle would have got into their great big Cadillac. He had bought her a big, huge Cadillac. Probably a 72, I guess. It was probably pretty new. And from here, they needed to drive home. And they lived up here in Ridgetop, Tennessee. And I've got that one marked as well. Hopefully, it is not too far off. I don't know what happened. Here we go. Stringbean's house. So you can see he had quite a drive. They had quite a drive. I believe Estelle did all the driving. I know it was her car. So here we got Ridgetop and Stringbean's house. They lived in a very small, modest cabin, a very simple cabin. You know, it had electricity and all that. It had wood heat and so forth. And it was 2308 Baker Road in Ridgetop, Tennessee. So we're going to go down here to it. It's kind of way out here in the middle of nowhere. As I said, it's just a really simple home, just a really simple one, and it's going to be this one right here. And as you can see, my little marker is off, but I put it out there on purpose. So let's go ahead and turn here a little bit. So this property belonged to Grandpa Jones, Louis Grandpa Jones. This right here was Grandpa Jones's house. We can go down to Street View, and we'll go down here and have a look. You can't really see too much. You can see the back of Grandpa Jones' house, but the Stringbean's house was more off, kind of down a little bit. kind of down in a bit of a gully, it looks like. And he was over here. This right here is going to be his house. Now, things have probably changed out here a little bit, but not too much. The house, it's hard to tell if that house looks exactly the same as it did way back then. Here's a picture of what the house looked like at some point. And we got a picture here of the next day after the murder, the murderers. And you can see there's investigating people there, helicopter, and all the rest. And that little house there is the house of David Akeman. So there is a gate here, and I'm sure there was a gate back then. But what had happened is David Akeman had a habit of not trusting banks. I mean, he had went through the Depression and all that when banks failed and all that kind of stuff. And he just didn't put money in the banks. It was rumored that he would carry thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of cash on him. And apparently he did. He carried some in his bibbed overalls in the front pocket of that, apparently. And anyway, so people knew about this. I remember my dad telling us about the fact that he was very, very wealthy and just had all kinds of cash laying around. Well, unfortunately, two cousins, John Brown and Marvin Brown, both 23 years old, and they had decided that they were going to lie in wait for Stringbean and Estelle to come home. So they were actually here on the property. I don't know how they got on the property. I'm not sure if Grandpa Jones was here at the time, but he would be the one that would find their dead bodies out here. Estelle was outside. She had been shot by the Brown cousins. They had simply come here, the Brown cousins did, and they laid in wait. They had ransacked the place and didn't find much. It's reported that what they ended up stealing were some guns and a chainsaw, and that was it. They didn't find any money, so they waited for Stringbean and his wife to come home, and then they were gonna just rob them right there. Well, at some point when they pulled in, when Estelle and David pulled in, David got out. I think there was a gate somewhere in here. He had got out to unlock the gate and then walked up to the house and immediately realized that there was somebody in the house. And apparently Stringbean carried a firearm with him. Anyway, they ended up having to shoot him and kill him in the house. When Estelle realized what was going on, she tried to run away to the car, and they ended up shooting her. So, like I said, whether Grandpa Jones was here or not, would have heard the gunshots, I just don't know. I couldn't find that out. But it would be the next morning when he would get up and he would notice that there was no smoke coming out of the chimney of Stringbean's house. So he walked over there, and that's when he found Estelle dead outside, and it was cold and frosty at that time, and so forth and so on. So that's the murder location for David Stringbean Akeman and his wife Estelle. Happened right here at this little area. So now we're going to go find an airport and take off in the Cessna and fly to this area and just see what this area looks like from Microsoft Flight Simulator.